In the 148-year history of Test cricket, only 2 men have scored more than 10 double centuries. One is Sir Don Bradman, the greatest the game has ever known. The other? A boy from Kandy, who grew into Sri Lanka's most elegant run machine, Kumar Sangakkara. Today, we relive his 11 epic double hundreds, knocks that lifted Sri Lanka, stunned opponents, and placed Sangha among cricket's immortals. It has been exactly 10 years since Sangha last walked out to represent Sri Lanka on that emotional August 24th, 2015. A decade gone by, but his memories remain as fresh as ever. While in earlier episodes, we've spoken broadly about a player's entire career, today we take a different approach. Instead of the whole story, we zoom into one of Sangha's most glittering achievements, his double centuries. His career as a whole deserves a separate discussion, perhaps even several episodes, but today it's about those innings of monumental concentration and artistry.
Sangha's Test career began in July 2000. The promise was there, no doubt. But greatness doesn't come easy. Twice he was dismissed in the 90s, heartbreakingly close to a first century. It took him 10 matches to finally raise his bat for a maiden ton against India in 2001. But by his 20th Test, the world began to see what was coming. The occasion was the Asian Test Championship final in Lahore. The pressure was immense, the kind of moment where careers can be defined. Sri Lanka had lost a wicket before a run was scored, and into that cauldron walked a 24-year-old Sangakkara. What followed was a masterclass, a 203-run stand with Sanath Jayasuriya, a 173-run stand with Mahela Jayawardena. By the time he walked back for 230 from 327 balls, the young left-hander had written himself into history. It remains, to this day, the second highest score by a wicketkeeper in Test cricket. And when Sri Lanka won that match by 8 wickets to become Asian Test champions, everyone knew this was no ordinary batsman. "18 tests, and 2 long years later came his second. The stage was Bulawayo against Zimbabwe. By now, Sangha had shed the wicket-keeping gloves to focus purely on batting, and it showed. What unfolded was a run fest. Batting with Marvin Atapatu, he added 438 runs for the second wicket. Sangha's contribution? A sublime 270. Marvin scored 249 himself. Together, they ground Zimbabwe into the dust. Sri Lanka won by an innings and 254 runs, but for Sangha, this was significant. His first double century as a specialist batsman, a signal that his hunger for big runs had only grown. Just 7 innings later came double century number 3, and it was perhaps even more impressive. The opponents, South Africa, with one of the fiercest attacks in the world. Sean Pollock, Mackay Ntini, Jacques Kallis, men who gave nothing away. Sri Lanka were 1 for 4 when Sangakkara walked in. Colombo fell silent, but over the next 357 balls, he rebuilt brick by brick. He added 192 with Mahela and went on to score 232. Sri Lanka won by 313 runs. For the first time, Sangha had a double century on home soil against one of the toughest teams in the world. Two years later, at the SSC, came an innings that will forever be part of cricket folklore. Once again against South Africa, once again with Mahela. Sri Lanka had been 2 for 14 when Mahela joined Sangha. By the time Sangakkara was finally dismissed, the score was 638 for 3. The partnership? A world record 624 runs. The highest ever in both Test and first-class cricket, a record that still stands. Mahela scored 374, a Sri Lankan record. Sangha scored 287, falling just 13 short of a triple century. Imagine the scene if they had both gone past 300, history twice over in one innings. But as it was, Sri Lanka's 756 for 5 in innings victory was more than enough. Later, the two admitted they were joking about dinner plans during drinks breaks, such was their control. Casual conversations while rewriting cricket history. By 2007, Sangakkara had become a run machine. Against Bangladesh, he reached his 5th and 6th doubles in quick succession. In the first test, an unbeaten 200. In the second, an unbeaten 222. This time, in a 311-run stand with Mahela. 2 double hundreds in back-to-back matches, both unbeaten. And then he carried that form abroad. 192 in Hobart against Australia. 152 against England soon after. Between late 2006 and 2007, Sangakkara scored 1,529 runs in just 14 innings at an average of 152.90. 7 centuries in 14 innings, 3 of them doubles. After 3 years without a double century, he returned with style. Against India at the SSC in 2010, he compiled a graceful 219. Partnerships of 174 with Paranavatana and 193 with Mahela built the foundation. The match ended in a draw, but the innings was classic Sangha. Controlled, elegant, relentless. Then came one of his most significant doubles, Dubai 2011 against Pakistan. Sri Lanka were staring at defeat, 81 runs behind, 5 wickets down. Out walked Sangakkara, joined by Prasanna Jayawardene. Together, they batted and batted, a 201-run stand. Sangakkara made 211 from 431 deliveries, Prasanna a century of his own. The match was saved. It wasn't just about runs that day, it was about character, about a champion refusing to give in. Three years later in Chittagong came his most monumental innings of all, a triple century, 319 from 482 deliveries, 2 century stands with Mahela and even one with Ajantha Mendis. He then added the century in the second innings. Very few players in history have scored a triple century and another 100 in the same test. Sangakkara joined that select group. The match ended in a draw, but his dominance was absolute. Five tests later, he made history. Goal. Against Pakistan. A magnificent 221 compiled with partnerships with Kaushal Silva, Mahela, and Angela Matthews. This was his 10th double century, making him only the second man in history after Bradman to reach the mark. Sri Lanka, powered by Rangana Harith's spin, won that match in dramatic fashion. And then the last. Wellington against New Zealand. Sri Lanka in tatters at 78 for 5. Sangakkara, calm as ever, rebuilt with Dinesh Chandimal. He reached 203, marshalling the tail, carrying Sri Lanka to 356. They lost the match, but this was vintage Sangha, defiant, elegant, and utterly dignified. His last century, his last double, his last great stand. And fittingly, his first without Mahela in the 11. In total, 11 double centuries, 7 in victories, 3 in draws, just 1 in defeat. And yet, there could have been more. He fell in the 190s 3 times. Hobart 2007, wrongly given out on 192. Gold 2012, celebrating a 200 that was actually 199 due to a scoreboard error before being stranded. And then again, dismissed on 192 in the very next match. 5 other times he made scores between 150 and 200. It shows us one thing. Sangakkara wasn't just a great batsman. He was a master of the long innings, a man who built monuments with the bat. And through it all, one constant presence, Mahela Jayawardene.
his partner in runs, records, and friendship. When you've been traveling for 15 years, Mahela once said, you need someone to share it with. We had that. The friendship, the banter, the support, on and off the field. Their story deserves its own episode, but today we celebrate Sanga's doubles. Innings that lifted a nation's spirit and carved his name alongside Bradman in one of cricket's most exclusive club. So, which of his 11 double centuries is your favorite? Let me know. Until next time, when we talk about the big cat, signing off from Colombo.